I'll be brief. Can you hear me well out there?
Yeah.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. Many of you know me, but for those who don't, my name is Matthew Ricci, and I'm speaking today as a representative of Brown War Watch, which is an anti-war organization at Brown University. And I think it is appropriate that a representative from a student organization is today's last speaker, since I believe that a careful examination of the student anti-war movement, if one can call it a movement, may lend new life to peace activities at large. As in the case of the general movement in this country, there consistently is a noticeable spike in student activity during isolated political moments, typically those involving an imminent crisis during usually a Republican administration. These moments, heartening though they may be, depend primarily on the short-lived awareness of the American public about a particular affair, an awareness only briefly tolerated by centers of power. We are living through one of these brief moments today in the context of the ongoing U.S. war against Iran. For the first time in some years, you can hear in mainstream circles a fleeting mention of the 1953 U.S.-led coup in Iran, the red baiting that justified it, and the desire for control of of Iranian oil that inspired it.
Thank you.
You might hear about the Savak torture chambers, which so terrified and brutalized the Iranian people during the subsequent rule of the Shah. Chambers which often housed U.S. security officials, taking notes and transmitting their macabre findings to the rest of the Cold War-era U.S. torture network. Perhaps you may also hear about the 1988 downing of Iran Air Flight 655 by a U.S. surface-to-air missile, killing all 290 aboard. Indeed, if you read the New York Times on December 29th, the end of last year, you would have also heard about how the so-called October surprise conspiracy by Reagan campaign officials to delay the release of U.S. hostages in Iran in 1980 has been, finally, officially corroborated by newly released documents from the estate of the late John D. Rockefeller Jr. You and many Americans have heard these things and have been agitated into political action. But this action will be short-lived, as it typically is in the student movement and the anti-war movement more generally, unless we ensure that political awareness regarding American imperial lawlessness does not change with the wind and does not depend on petty partisan matters. When the mainstream press criticizes Trump's extrajudicial assassination of Iran's General Soleimani, remember also the drone assassination of American citizen Anwar al-Awlaki and his 16-year-old son by Barack Obama. When you hear a fleeting mention of the Iranian coup in 1953, remember also the Carter administration's financing of the destruction of East Timor. When you hear about the McCarthyite smears that justified the Iranian coup, remember also the McCarthyism that paralyzes this country today. There will be no serious anti-war movement, student or otherwise, in this country until the general structures of American war-making, Democratic or Republican, current or past or future, are recognized and emphasized in full. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.